How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another stream. We see some heavy action right over here on the first screen. Getting it in pre with ace jack jack 10 double suited for 100 big blinds three ways. Run into worse hands on both ends somehow and end up losing against ace queen 10-5. What can you do? Welcome to the stream, guys. We're playing a mix of PLO 500, 1000, and 2000 on Coinpoker across the different formats of 6-max and 7-max with an ante. And we're just jumping straight in. Over here, we're playing 500 PLO as well, coming in for the squeeze. So we get two callers with ace, ace, king 10. Backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw here. It is an iffy spot, but I think our hand is too strong to give up. We're putting it in. Not looking for a three-way spot. Heads up is fine. Against a Rec the Ruler, I mean, the money is going to go in here for sure. Let's see what happens. We run into top two, turning king, river, and 8. So he's going to make a boat there. 6, very good card for us. We end up chopping this pot. Certainly happy with that result. Over here we're playing limp call from the small blind with the big ante in play. Opponent goes for the bet on the flop. We have just a gutter, no BDFD. Against a pot size bet as well. So we're going to give this one up. In the meantime, over here we have double suited connected aces against a very active player. Going to come in for the squeeze here in just a second, but first we're going to look into this hand where we called a squeeze after raising, and we flopped not necessarily the nuts in 5 cards PLO specifically, but we flopped a pretty good hand. So over here we went for the squeeze. We got two callers with ace, ace, jack, 8. Interesting. Over here we got one caller. We'll just keep betting. I'm going to start with a check with my aces over here. If two players go all in, it's not looking good. And against one player, we will stick it all in. With the nut flush and 5 card PLO, we ended up winning the hand. And then here we face this really tiny bet on the flop. Honestly, it looks really strong. But we're going to call. And now we head to a turn, which is heads up. And it's not looking that great. If he jams the turn after betting this really polarized sizing on the flop, I mean, in theory, I'm not sure if we can fold, but not blocking any of the pairs. It looks like you probably could have a set or two pair there quite often. The thing is, if he happens to have, he does check, so he probably has one of the weaker hands. If he happens to have like 2 pair, he would usually just pot the flop. The 8, though, is not great either, obviously. Straights are getting there. I don't think he gets a flush too often, but straights are certainly getting there. So we check. And we fold against the jam. Hey, Fernando, how are you doing? Very good. Thank you very much. Always excited to wake up and see a bunch of action on coin. It's not exactly the run out we're looking for. Although we did have the best hand here, with super bad run out for our hand. Down here, we end up getting squeezed in 5-card king, queen, queen, jack 10. Okay, we're gonna make the call. Flopping pretty naked, not flush draw here in the squeeze spot. It's gonna have a lot of top set. It's not looking good in terms of our equity. So against a large bet, we just have to fold. And we're getting out of the way. So this hand here, I'm gonna 3-bet. Then in the flop, the idea was just to bet and fold against the jam. Now getting called here. Just gonna check the turn. Run into 2 pair. This hand might also be a 3-bet, possibly. My playability is pretty bad for the turn in the river. I don't even mind bet folding the flop. I'm gonna raise the river here. It's an interesting one. Fortunately, it doesn't end up working out. He has top set actually. Oh, you actually cannot see the hand. Sorry about that. Okay, here we're gonna call. For obvious reasons. Just trying to put out some announcements here. Okay. We did it. Let's focus on these hands. We raise ace, jack, jack 10 from the empty position, big blind defense. So one of the tables is a 5-card table, and the rest is going to be a 4-card PLO. Some 6 max, some 7-handed stuff. Or on this table, we defended a big blind. Check, check, flop. Our idea was just to check call. That's a pretty gross river. The note lock is a must feature in Mastermind. Waiting for it for years. Thank you, Fernando. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, so yesterday we released a stream, or I made a stream because we released the note locked feature on PLO Trainer. In my last stream, my previous stream, you can see all the details about that there. I'm gonna call here with ace, jack 10, 8-6 double suited, no ace high suit. Wonder if this hand is better off just 3-betting pre, but I'm not sure if it's just too weak. So we call in position. Just going for a check back on the flop. Turn an open ender and the fake flush draw. So we call and play rivers. River is a jack. So 8-9 gets there, ace queen gets there. And we lose against king jack and king king and a bunch of other stuff. So I really don't mind bluffing, actually. We do take it down. Over on this table, we raise up king, queen, jack 10 at 2K. Just taking the free card. And then on the turn, we would just call a bet, but as our opponent checks, we just check again with King Queen. Very nice river. And we're going to go for some value here. Opponent comes in with the call with the ace king 5-5. Pick up a nice pot. And against a small open on the button, we have an easy defend here with a wide range of different hands, this one included. Flop goes check, check. A couple of tables closing here and opening at the same time, so we gotta be a bit ahead of things. Okay, check the river. So raise this button, checks all the way down to the river. Interesting. Not my favorite hand to call. But also don't hate it necessarily. Run into Queen 8. Over here, we check it down to the river, trying to either call the river or bet the river. Do see a bet going in, and we call. River's a set of 8s. That's unfortunate. Opening ace, king, queen, jack, king high suit. So top 2 pair, an ace, king as a nut gutter. Checking the flop. Turn the ace of diamonds. Pretty nice turn card. Removes also a lot of the flushes, actually. We have the jack of diamonds. It's going to have a lot of complete air, like single diamond combos that bet turn and bet river, and we just win. So just the plan is just calling down. I mean, the river, I'm not sure if he really wants to bluff on this river, but so we don't like the sizing that much, is sure. 1 second. Yeah, we don't like the sizing, but we're going to call here. I mean, I would call here regardless of the sizing, to be honest. It's just that this sizing is not traditionally bluffed as much. So, let's see. Single raise pot here, defend the big blind, check call flop. On the river, we have to ask ourselves, is there some value of ace 8? Don't necessarily mind blocking the river. Pick up aces and 5 cards. So limp, we raise ace, ace, queen, jack, 5. Many callers. Interesting hand on the flop there. Gonna start with a check. I mean, it is a 4-way pot. We don't block kings. Gotta be careful on how to proceed with this hand. Now the turn 10, also not great. Our future blocker, the ace of clubs, is now kind of worthless because we're not willing to really bluff with it on a paired board and 5 card. Just gonna surrender right there. Raise it up. Nice turn card. So here we have 3 limpers, myself included, on the button. The big blind pots it, and we have a bunch of callers. We're folding here with the 3rd not straight. Against the bet and a call. Over here on 2K, we 3-bet the big blind. Bet the flop and take it down, and over here we flop the boat. Single raise pot, we raise button, bet flop, bet turn. Over here, we turn our hand into a bluff. We check call the turn in a 3-way spot. Let the river with the jack blocker. Do want to have some bluffs there. A low flush with a boat blocker. I think it's a pretty good candidate. It does look like we did not have the best hand on the turn, and we do get looked up here by the nut flush with the ace with the jack blocker. Pretty reasonable hand. 4-bet pot, pretty standard stuff. Lose both. It's a nice hand pre here. Ace, king, jack, 10 double. As far as the review process is, someone is asking here, what do you do after the session? I mean, I would be marking hands in the session. If you use a tracking tool, you can just do that in the tool actually. And if you're playing on a site that doesn't allow tracking like GG, for example, you can just take screenshots of the spots. And the thing is though, like it's not really I wouldn't spend too much time in that practice because it doesn't really matter like the hands you've played in like a singular session as far as your improvement is concerned. I would much more prioritize. I would much rather prioritize focusing on spots. Say, for example, you want to work on how you defend the big blind post flop in a single raise pot and carve out maybe a specific texture, paired boards or two-tone boards. That's a much more effective way of studying. Like reviewing hands is just like, it's not necessarily a waste of time, but it's almost a waste of time because you're jumping from one spot to a completely different spot in the next hand, you know? It's not really effective to learn anything. So what I would recommend is to create categories. For example, I don't know, river calls or facing river bet decisions. Like that's the name of a category. And then sometimes you mark hands and put them into this category. And then at some point, you're going to have enough hands accumulated in this category. And then you do a review session based on facing river bets. All right, so that's how I would handle it. So here we have a possible hand to bluff with. I'm going to start betting. It's kind of a nice candidate to put pressure on overcards, flush draws. And then if the river is a spadeless card, it's a decent hand to barrel through. But now we have two callers on the turn, so that changes things a lot. And that means to bluff river, we probably want to have some pretty good blocker here in play. And we have no good blocker to the boat, so we're just surrendering against two. And somehow the 9 wins, which is pretty unreasonable. This guy called behind against a bet and a call on a paired board with a straight draw. I mean, that's pretty hopeful. Called 3-bet in position, top 2. It's going to be a texture. It's going to be potting a ton or checking. Pot size bet, just jam. Chop the pot. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah, with a deuce, with a 3 blocker and 2 backdoor flush draws, it's a completely standard potting spot. Nothing to note there. So as you start studying more and also more systematically, you will recognize it easier that, oh, this is a spot that I'm currently struggling with. Say, for example, it's a single raised pot on a monotone texture. This is something that I haven't really looked into, so I'm aware that I have a couple of leaks or just unknowns there and question marks. So maybe I'm going to mark out some hands and start putting them into a category of monotone board single raised pots. And then at some point, I'm going to collect all those hands and then do a 1 or 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour study session that only focuses on monotone boards. I'm going to start taking some notes on the general patterns that I take away, misconceptions that I had, and how I sort of repaired them or improved upon them. All right, so it's a structured study session based on the subject, not just, hey, here is a big 4-bet pot that I played today, and then here is a single raise pot out of position where I'm playing check raise on the flop and turn is weird. And then here is a pre-flop decision where I'm not sure if I should be 4-betting or calling. Like, it's jumping around like that. It's just going to make you like open PLO Trainer. You look into one hand, quickly look it up, move to the next one, move to the next one, and you haven't really learned anything. You haven't improved your A game by pretty much almost nothing. Sometimes you even harm your A game that way because you just look up a hand very superficial and think you learned something as you move on. Ace, King, Jack, 8. I guess we can go either way. The 8 is blocking some of the draws. Don't mind betting. We are blocking a bunch of continues. We have all the backdoor flush draw blockers and the 8 as well. So let's see what's going to happen here. We do get a small check raise. So that's quite uncomfortable. But we do have a call. See how things are developing on the turn. I mean, at first sight, it's a good turn because it reduces the combos that are beating us just combinatorically. He certainly still has like ace 9, sometimes an ace 6. And I think on the turn, we usually just want to bet and then sometimes check. We're going to go for check. I don't really think there's that much benefit in betting. Like with the flush draw, we are just not really looking for a lot of protection there. And then the river is a 9, so that's interesting. And go for a half pot size bet here. Take it down. Do you play any video games? And if so, do you stream playing video games? No, I don't play any video games. I play video games like a few times more regularly. But I stopped playing video games pretty decently long time ago. It's just like even though it can be a lot of fun, it's a habit that is very difficult to balance in a reasonable way. Like when I play a video game, like it's very easy to just like sink in an enormous amount of hours across a year, for example, or a month, without even realizing it, because it's just so encapsulating, and you're just like playing, maybe 200, 300, 400, 500 hours across a year with one video game. And it just takes away a lot of the ambition that you have and could put it somewhere else. So if you have an ambition to do something, accomplish something, for example, in poker, it's going to be difficult for your brain, maybe impossible to differentiate between playing a video game competitively where there's absolutely zero financial outcome, aside from like losing money, I guess, and losing time, versus playing poker competitively. It's like your brain, let's say you play 5 hours of a video game. Do you really think your brain now wants to play competitive poker where you have to problem solve a lot and be faced with a ton of stressful situations? Which is basically what video game is in some ways as well. Like you have a lot of stressful situations, you have a lot of decision making to do. So usually you end up needing a break, like your brain needs sort of a break. So it does take away a lot from your ambitious potential. And I think the cost is just extremely high. So I think developing hobbies, that are away from your computer is like a much better idea if you are already working and spending so many hours on your computer. And even though, video games are a lot of fun, the downside is just like so incredibly large that I think it is just best to stay away. Over here we call in position. Check flop. Not really looking to build a pot yet. Over here against half with the nut gutter and 2 backdoor flush draws, we are going to call. Just getting a really good price. On the turn, we have another call. Just playing the pot odds game here. Hello, river. River is tough to say. Blocking the king of spades as well. Like, not a huge fan of betting super large. Nice, we get called. That's very unfortunate. I mean, this hand probably calls a larger bet. This is a single raise pot where we check raise the flop 3 ways against like 2 unknowns, and we rip the turn. Chop it up. When drilling spots with the trainer, would you pick just 1 spot per session? There are so many spots you have to be proficient at. Yes, but there are a lot of spots in the game. The game is very deep, the game of PLO, the game of poker in general. But if you work with enough depth and quality in 1 spot, there is so much synergy. You learn so much that applies to other spots as well if you learn with enough depth, right? So it's not really about drilling infinite spots. It is about understanding what's actually going on in a few spots and then understanding how that applies in other situations. If you study any spot deeply, you will think a lot about what exact blockers do you have, what exact equity do you have, what do the ranges in play look like, and how that affects things. How does the SPR affect things? If you think about things deeply, you will take away a lot that applies in other situations. So it's all about depth. It's not about just drilling as many hands as you can. This is a very inefficient way of like studying or almost doing anything, you know, like the game is deep and it requires contextual understanding. So when you are in PLO Trainer, what you're doing is you're building up your contextual understanding. You're not just trying to do reps or something like that. Like it's not going to get you anywhere. Aside from Preflop, like Preflop is such a memory game that you can definitely get away with having this sort of more of a drill approach. So here we check call the flop. Turn goes check, check. River brings in the pair. So here on the river, I'm certainly not folding. I'm just thinking of like if I want to raise. It's an interesting sizing choice. I think we're going to raise the river. Let's see where that goes. That is unfortunate. Does have the... I mean, I felt like I was beat there on the river, but we have pretty good blockers to be bluffing with. Against this sizing, I would definitely be raising ace deuce there. So here we slow played the flop in a 3-bet pot, and the run out is pretty horrendous. We're looking for club blockers here. We don't really care as much about blocking the boats. So I don't think our hand wants to call, because we just have like so many flushes and very few very few worse hands. So the deuce is like almost irrelevant, and we ended up folding, and we did have the worst hand, in fact. Over here, raising it up with 6-6-5-5. It's just too many players in the pot. We're not going to do much here. Over here, 2K, we face a squeeze, so we called in the button with ace queen. Three deuce double, calling squeeze. Here we do end up bluffing the river. So it checks all the way down. We end up bluffing river 4 ways. Take it down. In the squeezed spot, we have an obvious fold. Opponent doesn't show down. This is a 7-handed game, I suppose. Yeah, raising the river with the deuce blocker, like, it's a fine play, I think, in theory. But I think in practice, when he decides to value bet a flush thinly, it's going to be difficult psychologically to switch from wanting to value bet thinly to wanting to fold against the raise, I think. So it's a bit of a tricky one to bluff with. 3-bet pot, we get it in. Run into a hand we dominate here with the wrap no pair. Win the first run out. And win both. Nice. No, I've never been involved in sports betting. Defending pre, pretty nice flop. I do want to lead. I think so. Okay, so here we squeezed. I mean, we're deep with this with the guy in this position. I guess he's under the gun, which is pretty attractive stuff. Like we want to build a pot here, backdoor nut flush draw as well. I mean, that's going to make things a lot easier. Probably had some sort of draw that bricked. Yeah, so instead of drilling, just to repeat this point one more time, I would always ask myself, like, what am I actually learning? What am I trying to get out of this, right? And so you're looking for concepts, takeaways, heuristics. You're looking for insights. And the spot that you have in front of you is just a spot in that functions for you to extract those sort of insights. So that's why it also doesn't matter as much to review the exact hands that you have played. And sometimes it can be harmful or lower the speed of improvement, because you're going to put a lot of emphasis on like how this exact hand has played or should be playing in this exact spot, without maybe asking yourself, what am I actually trying to learn here? And if you look into a dry situation, so a spot that you actually haven't played, then it might be more beneficial because you are putting a lot more attention to what am I trying to learn here versus did I play my hand correct in reality. Here on the turn, we are going to raise. We could also trap our hand, but with so many redraws, it's a ton of incentive to start blowing up the pot. So we're raising it up. Polarized range, using a pot size sizing here, getting called. River's a jack, so on the jack, we will check a lot. The thing is, he checked the flop back, so we're really not beat by too many hands here. Maybe by sixes, maybe by sevens. But what do we get value from, really? 5-8, I guess. And then he has the same hand as we have. So we're going to check the river. Not really interested in folding the river against the bet, although we do lose against sixes. That sometimes plays that way, but not too often. And then we lose against sevens. Thing is, you can also pot the river with the same hand, which would be, a bit unfortunate. In this case, he shows up with the same hand and does check back. over on this table, we opened from the cutoff in 5-card, check the flop here on this king high board. If I had a bit more going, I can also c-bet the flop. So if I had like a backdoor flush draw or an inside straight draw. But as is, we're just going to play check call flop. Not loving the turn, but not folding either. Against this sizing, especially not folding. Scan the chat says, I played PC games for many years and it cost me so much money and opportunity cost. It had cost me my relationships and family. I didn't realize it. I used it as a means to escape my feelings. Yeah, video games are very, very tricky because, I mean, they are engineered very often in order to keep you sort of locked into the video game and forget the stuff around you. And that's how a lot of hours, get synced into it. So what I do nowadays, as an example, is, at the end of my day, at the end of my work day, or just at the end of my day in general, I do jump on Discord and I have some friends. Like, we're not geographically close, so that's the best way to connect. And we do various activities. So one of them is just like being on Discord and talking while you're actually playing, grinding, or working on something by yourself. So it's kind of like we can say kind of like an open office environment where you just sit in, and it's a possibility for you to have like a little chit chat. Then sometimes what we do is review PLO hands. I have friends that started playing PLO. We just open a couple of hands at the end of the day, look at them, I give them some coaching. We just like figure out what's the next step, that kind of stuff. Another thing that I do is I sometimes play chess. So chess against some of my friends. Here we have to get out. And chess really doesn't have like as much of this, destruction element to it when it comes to your, I suppose, nervous system or your attention span. Not nearly as damaging and distracting as a video game that is just like, colors and actions like nonstop and has this extremely addictive character. I even find that playing chess in some ways helps with poker because it pushes your brain more into strategical thinking, as chess has basically no variance and it's just about strategy, and there's also no money. This guy wants to play for it all. Like, usually with this hand, you don't want to put in a 270 big blinds pre. You just want to call. But this guy is a wild cat, so just going to put in another bet pre. I think he's just like super light in this spot, and maybe a nice looking hand or something, or kings. This is bad. So if he has aces, it's not that great, but okay. Putting it all in, he has ace 10 4 3. Well, I guess that was the reason we 5-bet pre. Can we win? Yes. Well, I was almost convinced he has aces when he 6-bet jammed all in. But it was ace 10 4 3. Sometimes these hands don't chop. Very nice hand there for us. If you're looking to play on Coin, use my name, sign up, and get in the mix. In a 5-10 PLO cash game, after cutoff cold 4-bets pre and calls the buttons 5-bet, it's too long of a hand. Should cutoff call with king, queen 8? I mean, you have king, queen 8 single suited. You made a lot of mistakes pre. Let's start off there. You don't 3-bet. You don't 4-bet. And you don't call the 5-bet. I mean, I don't know. I didn't read through the entire hand, but either you called a 5-bet or you did 4-bet, or you either called a 5-bet or you 5-bet yourself, or you 4-bet king, queen 8. Basically, kings are not that good pre. You should have found a fold somewhere there or just a call. So a lot of the times with these hands, when you then look at the flop and you're like, hey, I only had king, should have stacked off. The answer is no, but you should have folded way, way earlier. or just called basically. You shouldn't have allowed your opponent to 4-bet you or 5-bet you when you have king, king, queen, 8 single. Kings are not that strong on PLO. It's a huge mistake, massive mistake, costing a ton of EV. You can, by the way, train this and see this kind of stuff very easily in a playful way in PLO Trainer. We have a free version of PLO Trainer. If you head over to PLOmastermind.com/preflop pass, PLOmastermind.com/preflop pass, you can access PLO Trainer for free, pre-flop, and in there you will see how to play kings properly. Over here we are facing a 3-bet. Just gonna fold. This guy's pretty wild. Let's see what he has. Oh, we don't see it on this table. Hey, JNandez, I'm currently trying to make a living out of beating 1 to 200 PLO 5-card cash games, and I find it crazy how much people under bluff. Okay. Should I overfold? Yeah, of course. There's no... I mean, GTO is just a framework to make you realize, for example, people are under bluffing. But it is definitely something that people might be under bluffing. It might very much, but it's easy to. It might be true, but it's very easy to just attach this label to every single spot and just be like, you know what, people are under bluffing. I'm going to fold everywhere, and you're probably going to make pretty large mistakes by doing so. So I would be adding some nuance to it and be, selective. And also, it's very difficult for a lot of players to understand that you don't need to win the hand half the time or 100% of the time when you call the river. Pot odds is something that's very important to intuitively understand, because it emotionally feels bad to call and be wrong quite often, or more often than not, but it is the right way to play. Here we're going to be extra tricky, maybe too tricky, I guess. I mean, he has ace. He has only one pair. Over here, I went after it and went for the 3-bet. Very light 3-bet. This guy plays 85% of the hand. So I was like, I mean, how bad can it be? And now we're getting it in pre because we have too much money involved. We are hoping for aces v aces versus our hand, which would be amazing. Let's see what it ends up being. This guy has aces. This guy has a jack-high rundown. We have 35% pre. But the queen kills us against the ace-10. Unfortunate, but we did actually have pretty nice hand equity pre. And we will have to rebuy. Over on this table, we raise from the small blind, bet the flop, top set, and a gutter. Isn't everything for fun we do something we escape the thought of our existence? Well, I mean, if you like work out or walk, have a long walk with, I don't know, your partner or spend time with your kids or something, I don't think it's an escape from the existence, right? Like or I'm not sure if this is like a philosophical question or whatever, but I think it's pretty clear that if one of your hobbies is to, I don't know, walk in the woods every second day for an hour, like you're probably going to benefit from that a lot more than if it is playing video games. Like we just know intuitively that's true. Here we raise the flop. It doesn't really run out the way we want, but I guess we get a ton of value there from this hand on the flop. This table is breaking, as we can tell. And over here, I went for a wild defend. I think this guy is kind of an action player, so I decided to call with the big ante in the middle. And we do flop 2 pair and a flush draw. Turn is the king. I'm going to check again. It's a very good card for the imposition player, and I want him to either bluff or value cut himself, which is the king, maybe 2 aces. We're going to play check, call, turn. River is another king. So I'm going to bet this river. I think he's going to check back a lot of aces and might call. This guy leads on the flop, and I start with a call, see where the hand goes. So he leads the flop, bets the turn, bets the river. It's a pretty weird line here. It's either raise or fold with our hand. Don't finger when I try making the 9 fold. I'm just gonna ditch it. Over here we call a 3-bet in position, king, king, queen, deuce. It's a very tight range pre here from the small blind. See a check on 10, 10, 5. So call turn and just like bluff river always. The only question is like what sizing we are going to use. Probably going to use like the middling sizing here. Just putting pressure on aces, obviously, mostly, and then sometimes on a 10. And our opponent folds. Yes, okay. Hey, JNandez, I'm an amateur to this game. How should I start learning this game? Maybe PLO Trainer or any course? PLOmastermind.com. We have a lot of videos and we have a 30-day study plan that you can follow. It includes watching videos and using the trainer in combination. And it just gives you 30 different steps on how to get started. We start off with pre-flop and then it heads into post-flop. So if you sign up to PLOmastermind.com, you will find there's like a little intro video, and in there I'll show you how you can access the 30-day study plan. So this hand checks through on the flop. I'm going to start with a pot size turn bet here, also blocking. Turned hearts a little bit. Get called in both spots, river the nuts and a king. We're going to just check. It's going to look extremely strong to bet out of position against 2 on this card. So I think we're better off just checking, and unfortunately in this case we don't induce. But it's anyway difficult to induce a call when we bet into 2 out of position on a river changing card. So over here you can see this is the 30-day study plan. If you sign up to PLOmastermind.com, in the 4 card and in 5 card, we also have a 30-day study plan, right? So if you sign up, you can see here Introduction to Preflop Strategy. It opens up the first video. Welcome back, guys, to the PLO Mastermind. In today's video, I'm excited to introduce you to one of the most foundational building blocks in your education to be as level possible hand. So for example, right, so I explain step by step exactly like the way we think about PLO and how we break it down into different categories, why preflop is the most important street or the most important street to play accurate. We go into combinatorics, explain equity, introduction, how to use the PLO Trainer, bankroll management, opening ranges, train 100 hands right there, how 3-betting works, how to play against the 3-bet. So step by step in the 30-day study plan, you're able to learn all these things. This is all part of the PLO Mastermind subscription. And if you head into 5-card PLO, in case that is your game, then we also have a 30-day study plan right there. You can see 5-card preflop basics, the 5-card preflop system, how to avoid switching from how to avoid mistakes when switching between 4 and 5-card PLO, how to use the 5-card trainer. So step by step, you have a 30-day study plan right there. And then once you're done with those videos, or even before that, it's up to you, it's your own choice. You can head into our library, and in our library, you will find videos about all sorts of subjects and things that go deeper and beyond just the, you can say, basics that you learn in the study plan, right? So over here, you have all the latest videos that we upload, and you can filter it out by the different coaches. You can see here currently we have 125 videos of myself live. If you're looking for 5-card videos, or you're looking for practical videos or plain explains, like you can find all of those with the right filters. 3-bet pots, single, multi-way pots, single raise pots, pre-flop, post-flop, turn, river, and so on. So all the videos you can find over here. Back to this. Raise pre with a beautiful hand. But unfortunately, the flop comes king, queen, 6 with 2 hearts. We check call the flop. We will be check folding the turn, I think. Just blocking our own straight outs, and we don't block any of the good stuff. River is obviously not great. We will check. We could actually win, but because on the turn he was capping his range, he's saying he doesn't have 2-pair or a set. So we lose only against the flush pretty much. It's queen 6 actually. Okay, we also lose against the marginal 2-pair. How much is a chip worth? What stakes are you playing? You can see the stakes that I'm playing always at the top here. PLO 2000, as you can see. So it's a 10-20 game. This is in Tether, but it's equivalent to dollars. So this is basically $10-20. And if you look at a different table, for example, here you can see we're playing PLO 500. You can see it on the top. So it's $2.5, $5 blinds. I just show it in big blinds because as I'm playing a multitude of stakes, it's easier, or various stakes, it's easier to understand what's going on. So if you look at this table here, we have 186 big blinds, but it's actually $3,726. Just makes things easier to see. So Jack 10, 9, 8 single. Both lines, I think, are fine. We're going to go with call. Pretty nice flop here. Middle pair and a wrap. But we are dominated by some of the top end hands, so I don't necessarily like leading. We don't block the queens. Queen, queen, jack 10, that kind of stuff is doing really well against our hands. So we're just going to start with a check. Small bet on the flop. Going to go for call. We're not looking to put in a stack just yet. Even a hand like queen, jack 10 has us in bad shape. Okay, so now turn brings in a straight to king, jack. Actually, don't mind leading the turn. No, I'm going to check, actually. I'm going to check. There are certainly some intelligent bluffs here on the turn with two kings, and kings is opening the button a lot. So king, king, queen, that kind of stuff. King, king, 10. But once he checks, just got to pot the river for value. Over here at 2-5, ace 10, 7, 6 with clubs. Just check back on the flop. And 5-card PLO, I mean, I could be convinced that this hand just folds pre. I could be. But because these guys are deep, I'm going to 4-bet my aces, even though there are terrible aces. Ace, 9, 4 deuce low suit. This guy 3-bets the under the gun player, but they're playing deep stacked. So I'm in the hopes to not run into aces here that often. But it's a tricky one. It's a pretty nice flop, actually. Kind of hard to hit for the 3-bet range that well. We also have the ace of spades blocker and a straight draw. So we jam. Fold would be nice. Nice. Okay. A marginal cold 4 there for sure. So starting next week on Monday, we do have our Black Friday offer live. So if you want to take advantage of not only the bonus that we have prepared, the bonus is the biggest bonus I think we had in a very long time. Basically, I've been recording a huge amount of content during the Cash Game World Championship. We're talking about 30 hours of content. Primarily of me playing 2K PLO, 500 PLO, day in, day out, battling against all these players. But also afterwards, analysis, talking about my HUD, talking about preparation, player notes, a bunch of different stuff in individual videos. But basically 30 hours of content will be added to this year's Black Friday offer. So these 30 hours of content are going to be exclusive to the Black Friday deal starting next week. And on top of that, you also get a discount on our yearly offer. So make sure to keep your eyes open for next week and the week following for our Black Friday stuff. As you can tell, our PLO Trainer software has also massively improved over the last year. You saw the latest updates in my most recent streams. So that's starting on Monday. And those videos, those 30 hours of videos, will never be released in the regular PLO Mastermind. It's only available during Black Friday for the yearly offer. So make sure to take advantage of that. Coming on Monday. Over here, ace, jack, deuce. Checks around on the flop. We bet the turn, get called by 2 somehow. We're going to check on the river against 2. And we end up winning somehow against bad kings and something else. Seems like 5-card is alive. 3 betting, getting 4 bet and cold called. So this guy, Wreck the Ruler, probably has some sort of similar double suited hand as we have. So we're just going to take a flop. It would be great if they both have aces, but it's not going to happen. So let's see a flop. It's a dicey one. I don't think we're going to fold. Don't think we can fold. Obviously, we're not looking good if our club draw is not live, but this is going to go in. It's just not enough behind. Looking for live clubs. It is live. Club me up. No, the absolute worst hand is going to win. The 9-8-5-4 with dead clubs on the flop and no pair. No straight draw. Finds the backdoor flushy. So on the flop, we have the gutter and the jack high flush draw. He has 9 high backdoor flush draw. And it's hard to fault him once he calls 9-8-5-4. Yeah. I mean, he's hoping to run into aces versus aces as well, right? Ace 6-7 here, 3-ways for half pot size bet jamming the flop. I think it seems fine. I mean, you're not excited, but it's just like not that much money behind. Over here, king, queen, queen, jack, slightly deep. Gonna flat and flop the nuts. Holding 2 queens. Interesting one. Let's start with a call. So on the turn, he's pretty polarized, saying yes, king, queen. I don't think raising for protection is like super great. So we're just going to call amazing river. If he happens to bluff the turn, it's very likely to follow through. And here we're not really going to get called very much. But we still got a jam. Oh, shit. Good job. Fortunate. All the excitement for no reason. This is an interesting one. I do like raising the turn, actually. Check call flop raise turn on a 3. Gonna push the river. Depends a bit what the river is, but I think on a 6, a lot of our bluffs improve to a straight. Don't have to bluff necessarily, so I don't mind this. That being said, if he has a 3, probably calls regardless of the straight completing. Can we get a fold? So we play check call flop, check raise turn, bomb river. Nice. Hey JNandez, good luck mate. I am playing poker for like 15 years. I'm up at least 100k lifetime, but only play on weekends. Does it make sense for what? to buy a month of PLO Mastermind, and what is the price? A month is like $1.99. You can discontinue the subscription after 1 month. So as a trial, it's basically going to cost you $200. You know, it depends what you're doing with it. It's, you know, as with anything, like buying a month of access to a gym, it's like, yeah, it's going to help you a lot if you go to the gym, for sure. Like, there's no doubt it's going to help your game a huge amount if you actually use it, right? So that's the big caveat. But if you're looking to improve your game and actually study, watch the videos, use the trainer, I mean, it's a very straightforward way to become better. Like, there's no way around getting better. It doesn't really matter which format you're playing, whether you're playing live or online or tournaments or cash. There's a lot to learn, and you will learn a lot, but obviously you have to go beyond just buying the product. You have to also use it. Not that good of a flop here, blind on blind. Just folding versus turn bet. What are your stats on 7 max? Can you talk about it? What are the good ones, or what are good stats? I mean, you probably want to be in like the high 20s as far as your VPIP is concerned. I do see a lot of players that are playing lower stakes. They are playing very nitty pre-flop, and it's going to take away a lot of your EV. You have to learn how to expand your range pre into like the 28, for example, 28 VPIP, like 20-ish PFR. And 3-bet is going to be around 7 to 8. Depends a bit on how wide your opponents are opening. But pre-flop depends so much on the rake structure in play. Like, it really depends, 7 max, at which stake you're referencing, right? It's 2K, 500, 200, PLO 50. Like, it's very, very different. So that's why in PLO Trainer we have over 200 preflop solutions, because they are adjusted for the right rake structure. Preflop, you just have to like nail down good stats. There's not much room to just, I don't know, wing it or something. You have to be solid when it comes to preflop. It's the easiest street to learn by just being disciplined. This is a bit of a weird spot. We're gonna bet the turn. We definitely can get raised here by king, which would be unfortunate, but we're not gonna get raised, and we don't improve on the river, so we lose against a rivered straight. I guess he turned the flush draw. So plays check call with a gutter and a 9 high flush draw, backdoor flush draw. Yeah. Traps the river 6. So once you nail pre, which again is mainly about discipline, just working like trailing spots in the PLO Trainer, then post flop is much more nuanced and conceptual. Understanding how to separate the different spots from each other. Single raise pot in position, single raise pot out of position. 3-bet pot in position, 3-bet pot out of position, as the raiser, as the caller. Those are all separate nodes or macro nodes that you need to separate and learn. And we have videos about that. How do you play in position as the aggressor in a single raise pot? Explain the principles, explain the bet sizing choices across the different board textures. And you will find all the stuff you see in the videos then in the trainer as well. It is a deep game, you know, so it's similar to, I guess, chess. I wouldn't necessarily think about like how long does it take me to become good. It's just like start a journey, and every day you get better and enjoy using what you have learned on the tables. Check back on the flop here 3 ways. So in this session right now, as an example, I'm playing 30 VPIP and 18 PFR, 6 3-bet. I mean, 3-bet is very much impacted by the short sample. You're not going to have 3-bettable hands in spots that often in a singular session. And sometimes you will have a ton of them, and sometimes you have hardly any. And in the Cash Game World Championship, the optimal stats were very different because you have an ante and no rake. So most of the players agreed that the optimal VPIP is around 35. Some played 33, some played 35, some played 38, some played 42. There are definitely some stylistic differences there. And they are justifiable if you think about limping. We're talking about the Cash Game Championship specifically. I wouldn't recommend limping in a raked environment at almost any stakes. But yeah, in the videos that are attached to the Black Friday bonus, I do break down like who I think were the best players and why, and what statistics to look out for and learn, emulate from, like which stats in your HUD, in your database to look into, and also hand examples that explain like how people came up with this much aggression on the flop, turn, or the river. Is $200 a fixed price or only for Black Friday? $200 is the monthly subscription. The monthly subscription is never discounted. It's only discounted if you take a yearly subscription. So a yearly subscription is discounted on Black Friday. But the monthly subscription is always the same. It's always the same price. There's no discount on the monthly subscription during Black Friday. What we do on Black Friday is the people that really enjoy the PLO Mastermind, our product, we offer them another year of PLO Mastermind and add in a discount, so a financial discount, plus bonus videos. So in this case, this year is going to be 30 hours of videos around the Cash Game World Championship. So you get those extra 30 hours of videos plus like a 25% discount, something along those lines, on the usual price. So basically, all the people that are with the PLO Mastermind since many years, we have served thousands of PLO players, and we have a very loyal customer base. Like they wait every year for Black Friday and renew for another year because they know at that point of the year it's going to be the best offer given the pricing and the additional videos that you get. But some people that are just trying out PLO Mastermind, they're going to go with monthly until they're happy with what they see, or they try it out basically. Here we have aces on aces. So double suited aces in position, double paired aces out of position against the same player, actually. Kind of funny. Ace, king, 4 double. And over here on this board, it's just going to be a potting situation. And this one is interesting as well because we're deep. So over here, we're just going to pot with this hand. Let's see where this goes. And here we have a very strong hand as well, but it's kind of awkward given the stack sizes. We're going to start with a bet. Could be different. I could be convinced for different sizings. We're going to go for a pot. It's going to make turns easier to play and just jam, unless the turn is a spade, obviously. Down over here, we squeeze ace, king, queen, 10, and we get a cold caller from the big blind. And so now we're about to head into a 4-way pot. So this hand could be a trapping hand, possibly, especially out of position against 3. The problem really is that my opponents are pretty passive. This guy's passive and this guy's passive. So I'm actually just going to jam. If I had a set and the nut flush draw, like I would always check. Doesn't matter how passive they are. But with one pair holdings, it's also okay to fast play them. And we get it in against 1. And he has top set. Well, we're not dead. So, now we're dead. Now we're dead. What are you going to do? Over here, what is this? Single raised against c-bet, turning the nuts on a6. comes out for the small bet on the 6. Call. It's just a lot of bad rivers. So we keep in some of the bluffs that way. If we raise turn, we telegraph our hand, and there are a lot of bad rivers where we're going to have difficulty showing down. Sometimes we also get free rolled on the turn. Over here, 5-card PLO, ace, jack, 10, ace, jack, ace, jack, 10, 6, 7, double, triple. We'll check the flop. Here we are stabbing in position. So in 5-card, we turned actually the nut somehow. We have jack 10 to work with. I'm going to raise the turn here because there is a player behind. It's a bit of a different spot than before where we were heads up out of position. Here we're in position. So here we're in position. Potted here basically as a bluff. And here we're in position, but we also have jack 10 to work with. And it's multi-way. So there's more benefit in raising to get that guy out of the pot, secure position. And there's still value to be extracted from sets. JNandez, what is your opinion for GG Poker PLO 50 or PLO 100? I have like 9 years of experience. Can I beat them if I buy PLO Mastermind and use it correctly? Yeah, of course. I mean, of course the game is beatable. I'm not sure if you can beat it. The information necessary to beat it is going to be in the Mastermind. There's no doubt about that. But does that mean that you have what it takes to beat it? Even if you learn the stuff, it's, you know, who knows? There's only one way to find out. So, you know, rather than like trying to predict the future, I would just ask yourself, is this something you want? Is you know, learning PLO and being in the trenches, playing it, learning, and improving and studying, taking it serious, is it something you're going to enjoy? Is it something that you want for yourself? And if the answer is yes, then you will see where it brings you. You know, you can't predict, like no one can predict your future. Well, the only thing I can predict with pretty high accuracy is that if it didn't work for you so far and you continue doing what you have done so far, it's probably not going to work, right? So the reason it hasn't worked so far is because the way you approached the whole thing, poker or PLO, was not the right approach to become a profitable player for yourself. Like for yourself, that this approach didn't work. So that means you need to change something, right? Like you need to probably take it more serious and study more structured and get some help, that kind of stuff. And for anyone listening, I mean, you know, if it hasn't worked out so far for you and you are trying to make it work, then maybe change your approach. And if you're just getting started, you know, I wouldn't try stuff on your own for a long time, but just get help like faster, you know, so that you can shortcut time. Here, check, check, flop. I do like betting turn to put aggression on some loose over pairs. And on this river, I don't like checking because we are blocking some of the bets. So we are going to bet ourselves. Opening up ace-ace 10-8, only 4 callers. And we're not going to start blasting here yet.